The bottom line of this letter was that we were concerned that the dangers of thrombosis, clot formation, intravasal clot formation, had not been sufficiently addressed by the EMA, and we asked them to supply evidence that this danger of clot formation had been considered, and that there was evidence to exclude that our fears were founded. That is the gist of the letter. Based on what is known in medicine, one would have to fear that people, especially young people, by the way, who received these gene-based vaccines would develop clotting abnormalities.
The first case of CVT, that is cerebrovascular thrombosis, after AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine was detected in a woman, 37-year-old in Norway. CAT scan had shown the brain clot. When admitted to the emergency department in the hospital, it was also found that the platelet count was also incredibly low. She died after 2 days. This was one of 16 cases reported. In the 16 cases reported, the researchers found 1 or 2 thrombotic, that is clotting events, such as cerebral venous thrombosis, referred to as CVT. Some had internal visceral organs thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, meaning a clot from elsewhere in the lungs. 6 of them had died. 5 of them had multiple vein clots all over the body. Global health experts came under increasing pressure to clear up questions over the safety of AstraZeneca COVID-19 shot, as Sweden and Latvia joined countries suspending their use in a further blow to Europe's vaccination rollout. The European Medicines Agency, that's the EMA, said it was investigating reports of 30 cases of unusual blood disorders out of 5 million recipients of the AstraZeneca vaccine. In total, 45 million COVID shots have been delivered across the region. The benefits continue to outweigh the risks, but this is a serious concern, and it does need serious and detailed scientific evaluation. Emmer Cook, head of the EU regulator, told a news conference. The EU's largest members, Germany, France and Italy, suspended use of the AstraZeneca vaccine pending the outcome of investigations into unusual cases of a rare cerebral thrombosis in people who had received it. In Britain, the epidemiologists noted that similar cases have not been found after giving AstraZeneca earlier and has given more than 10 million doses. A very likely explanation of at last. Some of the clotting disorders seen are the result of COVID-19 rather than the vaccine, said Stephen Evans, professor of pharmacoepidemiology at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. A few days later, US government stated that the same effect was seen in 6 cases among 6.8 million people given a similar vaccine from Johnson & Johnson. The vaccine was paused till further investigations were done by the researchers. The method used by the researchers was to detect platelet factor 4, PF4 heparin, as a platelet activation test to detect platelet activating antibodies. Another test is called the D-dimers test, looking for D-dimers in blood, which is a protein fragment that is made when a blood clot dissolves in your body. The bottom line is that platelets are being activated to form the clots with COVID vaccines, a recent finding by the researchers. This may have not been a priority during the three-phase clinical testing trial period. Final phase is done on human clinical trials that must provide scientific evidence which demonstrates that the benefits of a vaccine greatly outweighs any risks. It must be noted that blood clotting was also found in more cases contracting the COVID-19 and had acute respiratory syndromes with pulmonary blood clots, and the WHO by March 2020 had declared the disease a pandemic. Respiratory symptoms are the fundamental feature of the disease. Evidence is emerging which indicates that the disease is associated with coagulation dysfunction, which predisposes patients to an increased risk of both venous and arterial thromboembolism and potentially increased mortality risk consequently. Some studies have reported that thromboembolic rates after COVID-19 infection as high as 40 to 70%, and most of them were admitted to intensive care units and potentially death. Credit must be given for developing in record time COVID-19 vaccines without compromising safety and with massive global cooperation. When Ebola exploded across West Africa in 2014, it took more than 5 years to get a vaccine approved by drug regulators. Fast forward to 2020, and researchers were able to develop multiple protective coronavirus vaccines and get them authorized within 12 months of the virus being discovered. It is a spectacular and unparalleled scientific achievement and promises to help bring the pandemic under control. We must give credit to those scientists who have spent years building vaccine technologies that could be quickly adapted to emerging viral threats. During the early stages of the COVID-19 vaccine trials, the priority was to produce vaccines with the hope of controlling the endemic. The issue of blood clots after vaccine was not a priority and not thought of at that stage, though a few cases have had small clot formations, and the priority was only to check on the efficacy of the vaccines. Blood clots were a risk factor in most of the cases of those contracted the COVID-19 infection. Elevated levels of a blood clotting factor were linked to worse outcomes in severe COVID-19. Though severe COVID-19 infections were found to have a high level of blood clotting protein factor 5, and they were at high risk of getting deep vein thrombosis or pulmonary embolism, according to a study by Harvard Medical School investigated at Massachusetts General Hospital. It appears that blood clotting is a phenomenon in both situations with COVID vaccine infections and post-COVID vaccinations. The European Medicines Agency has said it has so far found no causal link between the vaccines and the incidents. The World Health Organization has also said there was no proven link and people should not panic. The EU regulator have released its findings, but its head, Emma Cook, said she saw no reason to to change its recommendation of AstraZeneca, one of 4 vaccines that it has approved for use. The benefits continue to outweigh the risks, but this is a serious concern, and it does need serious and detailed scientific evaluation, Cook told a news conference.
I want to also stress that at present there is no indication that vaccination has caused these conditions. They have not come up in the clinical trials and are not listed as known or expected side events with this vaccine. In clinical trials, both the vaccinated people and the people who received the placebo have shown some very small numbers of blood clot developments. The number of thromboembolic events overall in the vaccinated people seems not to be higher than that seen in the general population.
No evidence that recent blood clots deaths were linked to COVID-19 vaccine. The TGA has confirmed there is no likely association between the deaths in New South Wales men and the AstraZeneca vaccine. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been linked to blood clots in an exceedingly small number of cases. TGA, or Therapeutic Food Administration, head professor John Kerritt has called for calm in relation to recent reports of 2 men who died from blood clots after they had received the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. After watching this video presentation, you will be half a mind whether to have the jab or not. I'm sure most of your friends here and abroad, including Sri Lanka, would say have it. Thanks for watching this video and the talk. Stay safe and goodbye for now.